Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5.
The man accused of killing a 13-month-old in Boyle County has his first court appearance.
Police in Pulaski County say that a former Sunday school teacher used intimidation and threats involving witchcraft as he sexually abused a 16-year-old boy.
Lexington police released new information about the city's latest homicide. We'll tell you about the arrests that have been made and who police say they're still looking for.
WKYT News at 5 starts now.
We continue to track a breaking news alert out of Lexington. Within the past hour, Lexington police have announced the arrests of 2 people for a murder after a body was found at a vacant car wash.
Police have charged 29-year-old Joseph Sledge and 24-year-old Kavian Thomas with murder and robbery. The victim has not been identified yet. WKYT's Kristen Kennedy is live now from police headquarters with the latest on this murder investigation. Kristen?
Police discovered the body less than 24 hours ago. They've already arrested 2 individuals for robbery and murder, and now they're looking for 2 other individuals. Now, police have arrested both Joseph Sled and Kavian Thomas for robbery and murder. They believe they are responsible for killing the man police found on the property where an abandoned car wash is. It's the former Premier Car Wash, and that is on West New Circle Road. They are now trying to locate Teresa Jarrett and Thomas Lucky. They say the 2 are known transients in the area, and they are often seen panhandling. They do believe that Jarrett and Lucky know what might have happened. This morning, detectives were back out searching for them and for any other evidence.
Anytime we have a homicide scene, we do canvass the area. Sometimes that can be several different radiuses outside from the crime scene itself. This one, there's some territories, some businesses that we want to walk behind. In the woods itself, there may be evidence, there may be other information, other individuals that may be hiding or observing, seeing what's going on, and we want to talk to.
We're still waiting for the coroner to identify the victim. In Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Police say that victim, the persons of interest, and the 2 that they have arrested today were loitering in the vacant car wash for an extended period of time.
A man accused of killing a 13-month-old boy answered to the charges today in a Boyle County courtroom. Joseph Adams is charged with murder after the toddler he was caring for died. WKYT's Sean Moody reports on new disturbing details in the case.
Joseph Adams is being held at the Boyle County Detention Center without bond. This morning, a judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Kentucky State Police say Adams was caring for the 13-month-old boy and the boy's sister on Friday morning when somehow the boy was injured. State police say Adams is responsible for the boy's death. In an affidavit for a search warrant, a state police detective wrote that there was extensive trauma to the boy's head and body. That detective also wrote that there were indications of sexual abuse. He wrote that Adams told him the boy's 2-year-old sister had assaulted him, but he said that wouldn't be consistent with the extent of the trauma to the boy's body. The state police are still investigating. Adams is charged with 1 count of murder. In Boyle County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
State police tell us they're still analyzing their evidence. Adams is due back in court next Wednesday for a preliminary hearing.
Rain still making its way across much of the bluegrass today.
That's right. There is some heavy rain in places. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey is tracking it on First Alert Defender. Chris?
Yeah, a lot of the heavier rains now focusing on eastern Kentucky, leaving parts of the bluegrass region alone finally. Even a peak of sunshine out there into sections of central Kentucky. That's showing up on our live sky cams from across the region. Frankfort seeing a little sun, though some clouds beginning to filter back into town. A little hint of sun in Richmond at 64 degrees, overcast, wet, rainy, a little foggy showing up into Jackson. Here in Lexington, sun, some clouds, trying to do a little fight, a little battle this afternoon with the sun trying to win out in the short term. There's the heavy rain across parts of eastern Kentucky. It's really coming down across the Moorhead, Owensville, and Frenchburg areas, southward on 519 into West Liberty, Salyersville, Jackson. Hazard getting in on a lot of the wet weather. But again, a lot of that is pushing off toward Virginia and West Virginia. That little bit of a break across the bluegrass region. To our west, some showers now west of Interstate 65. Those showers are ahead of a big upper area of low pressure. That low is going to slowly work its way through the area over the next couple of days. That means some ugly weather. Short term, mainly east with the showers this evening. We'll drop it from the low 60s into the mid 50s by the time 11 o'clock rolls around. I'll come back in a little bit, guys. Focus of the forecast on some chilly showers blowing in for the middle of the week.
Disturbing allegations against a Southern Kentucky Sunday school teacher and former youth pastor. He's now in jail accused of sex crimes. 30-year-old Rex Murphy is accused of abusing at least one teenager at Polly Ann Church of God. But police say there may be more allegations. Murphy was also a youth pastor at Pine Grove Pentecostal in Richmond. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has the latest from Pulaski County.
I'm told that Rex Murphy was a Sunday school teacher at the Polly Ann Church of God, which is located about 3 miles from downtown Eubank here. The police chief here says the investigation began when a co-worker of the victim came forward. Now, police say Murphy is accused of sodomy and sexual abuse of a 16-year-old male, but they say their investigation is looking into a possible second victim. Police say Murphy wasn't just sexually abusing the teen. Police say he intimidated him.
And if the victim told his parents what was going on, the suspect would tell the parents of all his sins, and he could possibly die from this.
I did speak with the minister of the Polly Ann Church of God. He says that Murphy is no longer associated with the church. He says beyond that, they are dealing with this situation internally and really did not wish to comment further. Much more on these disturbing allegations coming up at 6 o'clock. But for now, in Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Murphy is in the Pulaski County Jail. He refused our request for an interview. Eubank's police chief urges if anyone has information to call them. He tells us he believes there are, in his words, many more victims. For information on where to call, go to WKYT.com.
In our county-by-county coverage here at 5, we're tracking stories in Whitley and Rockcastle counties, and we begin in Whitley County. That's where a Southern Kentucky man is facing charges accused in a stabbing. Whitley County Sheriff's deputies say Roy Thomas stabbed a man in the leg off Highway 25 in the Cane Creek area earlier this month. Thomas claims he stabbed the man in self-defense. He's charged with assault and terroristic threatening. In Rockcastle County, a high school will be the pilot project for a new program that will allow parents to test their children for drugs. The project was announced today during an assembly at Rockcastle County High School. It's a joint effort of a federal drug task force and Operation Unite. Congressman Hal Rogers says the program is purely voluntary and allows parents the option of using a drug test kit on their children. Each kit will be offered free of charge, and it tests for drugs using a swab of saliva.
I think this will give students and young people a chance to say to people who tempt them with drugs, look, I can't do this, friend, because I may get tested at home, and I don't want to do that.
Congressman Rogers says he hopes to eventually offer the program at every Kentucky high school.
Snow days could have a very different meaning for some Kentucky students. The Kentucky Department of Education has approved waivers that allow 13 school districts to continue teaching even when school is canceled. Officials say some districts would use online learning systems. Students who don't have internet at home would be given hard copies. An update on the nurse who contracted Ebola inside a Dallas hospital. And health officials confirmed they're monitoring 76 healthcare workers who had contact with Thomas Duncan while he was dying from the virus. Adriana Diaz has the latest from Dallas.
Nina Pham, the Dallas nurse who contracted Ebola from a dying patient, released a statement today saying, quote, "I'm doing well and want to thank everyone for their kind wishes and prayers." Pham started showing symptoms of Ebola last Friday. A man who works at the Fort Worth, Texas medical company Alcon has been identified as the one person she had contact with while contagious. They're both in isolation at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, where Thomas Duncan died last week. Today, Dallas officials released a 911 call from the daughter of Duncan's girlfriend.
My daddy is showing up and he got a fever.
The ambulance on the way.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention believes there was a breach in protocol and that Pham may have caught the virus from Duncan from the way she removed her protective gear.
A single infection in a healthcare worker is unacceptable. And what we're doing at this point is looking at everything we can do to minimize that risk so those who are caring for her do that safely and effectively.
The World Health Organization said today there could be as many as 10,000 new Ebola cases per week by the end of November. The virus has already claimed nearly 4,500 lives. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, Dallas.
Coming up on WKYT News at 6, the Lexington Fire Department is starting a new policy when it comes to Ebola. They'll begin asking questions that could help them determine if someone has the deadly disease. We'll explain the new policy coming up at 6.
At Fort Campbell, Kentucky soldiers getting ready to tackle the deadly virus overseas. Some Kentucky soldiers are preparing for their upcoming deployment to Africa to help stop the spread of Ebola. 700 soldiers of the 101st Airborne Division will take part in a ceremony this afternoon at Fort Campbell. That unit will leave for Liberia as part of Operation United Assistance, where they will build care centers and train hundreds of healthcare workers. Oil is a new battleground in the fight against ISIS. The militants are raising revenue by producing fuel, using a string of small refineries in Syria and Iraq. The U.S. and its coalition partners are trying to knock them out from the air. Officials say ISIS doubled the price of oil, selling to traders from Iraq and traders who smuggled to the Syrian regime and neighboring Turkey.
When the refineries were under the control of non-ISIS groups, they helped the population. We delivered refined products for free to the medical clinics, the water stations.
Engineers say that bombing the actual natural resources would have devastating consequences in Syria for the environment and the population.
The severe weather that swept through the southeast has taken at least one life in Alabama. A tree fell on a 75-year-old woman's mobile home last night. The woman's granddaughter says her grandparents had just returned home when the storm gained strength. The winds apparently picked it up and knocked the tree onto the home.
Wet roads were likely a factor in the crash of a double-decker bus near Indianapolis today that injured nearly 20 people. Police say the megabus swerved to avoid a crash and overturned on Interstate 65 North. Reports say there were about 50 people on board. 18 were injured. The bus was traveling from Atlanta to Chicago.
The bus was coming northbound on I-65, was struck by another vehicle, and the bus actually flipped over into the median, as you see it right down here. And that's where it hit the guard wire here.
There are reports the megabus stopped here in Kentucky in Louisville just a few hours before the crash.
It has now been 1 month since University of Virginia student Hannah Graham was last seen, but her parents are not giving up hope. For weeks, search teams have searched for the UVA student. Now her parents are sharing some new pictures. Graham was last seen on Charlottesville's downtown mall early the morning of Saturday, September 13th. Police believe that she was with Jesse Matthew. He has been charged with her abduction.
You can look at a calendar and say it's been 30 days. What are the chances? If you're the parent, if you're the loved one of that missing person, you never turn off that emotional porch light.
In their latest statement, Hannah's family says, you know who you are and you need to come forward.
A 29-year-old woman with terminal cancer is planning on ending her life with the help of her doctor. The woman found out this spring she has the most lethal form of brain cancer. Doctors told Brittany Maynor she only has about 6 months to live. She's decided to forego aggressive treatment and die with dignity. Her choice is reviving the national debate on assisted suicide. Maynard moved to Oregon. It's one of 5 states where it's legal for doctors to help terminally ill patients end their lives.